the Fremantle Dockers, and on the weekend they celebrated Matthew Pavlich's 300. And they also celebrated by bringing magnificent pressure football back to Patterson Stadium. And didn't he get off to the perfect start? He got the purple haze really rocking.
Is it? How come it's this? It seems this simple, Jason. If they get their heads right, the good teams are unbeatable when their mind's right.
Yeah, it's look, a lot of it, we know this game's played a lot above the shoulders, don't we? It's attitudinal, but we've also seen cases like Adelaide against Collingwood. If you put true pressure, relentless pressure on the good side, you can reduce them to average sides. But if you let them play the game their way, and certainly Freo are starting to get back to where they're dominating the contest and playing it on their terms. Look at Matty Pavlich now has joined this elite group of players that have played 300 games and kicked 600 plus goals. Our very own Alistair Lynch, just a couple ahead of him, but it's illustrious company.
Let me say this to you first, Gerard, so you can remember this. There are warning signs at Geelong. As good as Freo were, there are cracks at Geelong.
Well, it's the first time I've seen some of their great players play poorly altogether. And I speak of Enright, Bartel early in the piece, Stevie Johnson, he played poorly, and Harry Taylor, I think. That quartet, you could say they used to rotate when they had a week off. They did have a weekend off all at once, but I wouldn't write them off. Mike, you've got a bad history of this. You wrote Hawthorn off for 15 years. Don't write off.
That was 1991.
That's true. Can I talk about Hayden Ballantyne? We know he had a rough grand final, but gee, he has been terrific. And they needed someone to stand up. His performance, not just with the ball, but also without the ball, was one of the highlights for me of the night.
I like watching guys that work really hard defensively and pressure-wise, and I think Ballantyne's as good as anyone at that. I like them getting the reward in terms of these sorts of things as well, because it's actually just desserts for the hard work they are doing to help their teammates. Some of his pressure work was unbelievable. He created a couple of turnovers. He reads it really well from a defensive perspective. You like to see him enjoying the attacking side of the game as well.
They've also started to implement a move. We've seen a number of times, but once again, this movement of the ball from full back straight down the middle of the ground is a feature of the Dockers in 2014. It's one down the middle, then somebody peels off, and they just kick the ball to blokes running into the old Pagans paddock.
That's risk-reward, isn't it? And but the clubs are doing that more and more, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're not just the Dockers doing that.
Which means it won't be long before we see a sweeper in the middle of the ground, because you're setting up on both sides, leading like a V, and then players are leading laterally into the space.